Hello all, welcome to a Room 222 Photoshop tutorial. Today's project is just looking at the overall most important parts that I feel Photoshop offers you and that you would use most often when editing a photograph. So first off, we're going to just start with the basics. We're going to go to File and you're going to go to Open, and this is how you pick out a picture that you might want to edit. Something else that you can do is you can go to File, New, and you can create a canvas. So they have some customized, as in like 8.5 by 11 inch paper, or you can customize your own. Say for instance, you want it in inches, and we do 11 by 15. And we're going to keep the resolution at 300. And then you're going to click OK. And that will create an open blank canvas for you to work upon. So those are two options that you can use to create or start something new. Alright, so next we're going to take a look at this left-hand toolbar. You're going to be using quite a bit the selection tool. And this, if we go back to one of our pictures, all you do is you just click and you drag and you will begin to select. You can make this larger or smaller by using the bracket keys. The left one makes it smaller, the right one makes it larger. This goes for the brush tool as well and any other sort of size styled tools. This one, the minus one, is the subtraction one, and then the plus one is the expanded. So if I would go to the expanded one, it will go up and out. If I wanted to detract, I can go back to the minus and I can detract from this. You will use this whenever you want to have a certain selection on a picture, whether that's to remove it, whether that's to add color to it, whether that is to change the color to it. This is what you would use the selection tools for. Next, we're going to look at the blemish, what I like to call the blemish tool. It's also known as a spot healing tool. This is something that you will use most often on people, but you can use it on landscapes as well. But we're going to take a look at this lovely woman here who is not wearing any makeup. And you can see some of her zits, some of her dimples, discoloration of the skin, which is completely fine. But if you would want to remove something like that, so what we're going to do is do Control+. And then I'm going to make my bracket larger, my image larger. So then what you're going to do is we're going to do Control J, and we're going to make a copy of this image. So that way we can work on it. If we would happen to do something that we really didn't like, where we completely maybe messed up the image, we still have the background image to fall back upon. So we're going to go over, and then you're just going to we're going to make this a little bit smaller, and you just click and drag over top. And see, it removes it. The smaller the brush, the better. You don't want to completely go like this. As you can see, it takes a little bit to work, but it doesn't do what you want it to do. So we're going to do Edit, Undo, and it removes that. Something else that you can do as we move down our tool brush, that would be helpful. We'll go back to the brush tool, but I want to take a look at the clone stamp tool. So this is something else that allows you to take a piece of the image and apply it or clone it over top of something else to remove it. So for instance, if I wanted to get rid of some of this hair, what I would do is I'd make sure I'm on layer 1, and I would hold down the Alt key, and it's going to create a target, and I need to click with my mouse. And then you let go of the Alt key, and you're going to go over top of the area that you want to apply this to. And I would bring up our opacity, and let's try this again. So hold down the Alt key, and it's going to create a target. Click at the target, and then move to the area in which you want to apply it. And see, it's taking away the hair. If you wanted to get a little funny, a little funky, we can make this a little bit larger and we can go over top of the eye. Go right in the middle, click, and then we could create a third eye on her face if we wanted to. So that's kind of like the funky side of this. I'm not sure you would actually ever use it for what you plan to use this for, but that's an option. Next, we're going to use the brush tool. So the brush tool, you can pick any type of color you want to use it on. All sorts of different colors. And then you just click and you can draw. Again, we're going to put the brush on its own separate layer. So we're going to go down here to New Layer. And so then that way, if we make a whole heck of a mess, we could always just delete this by clicking and pulling it down to the trash can, and it goes away. Nothing worse for wear. But if you don't create a new layer, then you might have to completely start over, which is something that you definitely don't want to have to do. So we're going to click the new layer again. The brush tool has many options. So if you come over here and you extend this out, you might not have as many options as I do, but you will have a certain amount. And if you click on them, and you might have to make them bigger, but like you can create leaves, you can create grass, we can do like a brush stroke like this. You can make it look more dense. If you have specialized ones, you can go down here, and these are like splatters. So the brush tool has many options, and it is a very fun feature to work with. I highly suggest playing around with it when you have the time for it. Next, we're going to talk about, so I'm going to apply this brush tool onto here. And again, we're going to apply it to a new layer. So I'm going to apply some of this smoky stuff. Say I want to get rid of it. What I'm going to do is go to my eraser tool. Make sure the opacity is up, and we can make this a little bit larger. The regular eraser tool will just erase what is on the layer. Just like so. If we close this eye, so make this, it'll make the layer invisible. It doesn't take it away, but it makes it invisible so we can see below. And then we go to layer 1. If we wanted to make this layer partially transparent, which means it has a checkered background identifying that it is transparent, we want to go to the background eraser tool. And it is going to create transparency. And we can't see it right now because this background layer is still visible. So we're going to close the eye, and now we see where it is transparent. So now why would we ever want to do such a thing? So something that you could do with this is, so say we basically got rid of this background here. If we go over to the barn, which this makes no sense, but that's okay. And we're going to pull the barn forward. And we're going to just pull it forward and drop it. We're going to go, so we're back on this Utah layer. We're going to go to the Move tool. And we are going to click on the barn image. And we are going to drag. And we are going to drop it on top of the Utah National Park image. And then I'm going to pull this back up here. And it's going to create this blue color. And then you just drop it. And we're going to go back to the national park. So now, I'm going to pull this layer underneath layer 1. And I am going to do that. You just click and you just drag. And then I am going to make this layer larger. So I'm going to do Control T. Hold down Shift. And I'm just going to expand it out. might need to zoom out a little bit. And so now I have this layer showing up, and I'm going to press enter, behind the Utah National Park. So if you wanted to create layers of different styles of backgrounds, different styles of people or something like that, that is one way to do it with this transparency option of the eraser tool. And then as you can see, there's also a magic eraser tool. This can be applied. Make sure you are on the layer you want to be on. So I'm going to go to layer 1. It will apply to everything that is of that color. And you can adjust this for tolerancy, so like higher tolerancy or lower tolerancy. I very rarely use this option because I don't find it very stable, very reliable. But it is there, and especially if you have an image that is just solid color and you want to get rid of that solid color, the magic eraser tool is there for you to do that. So far we have looked at File, Open, File New, Edit Undo, Edit Step Backwards. We've checked out the Move tool, the Selection tool, the Blemish tool, the Brush tool, the Clone Stamp tool, and the Eraser tool. Paint Bucket is very straightforward. I'm going to create a new layer, click on the Paint Bucket. You can also apply this in a selected area or something along those lines, but very, very straightforward. Text tool is very straightforward. You just click and it creates a new layer on itself, and you can just type the girl without makeup. And then you click OK. And then if you wanted to, you can change this to different types, but you have to make sure you're on the correct one. And if you do Control T, you can move it around. You can make it go like this. You can make it larger. And again, as always, when you are finished with the Control T option, which is the transform option, you click the OK button. So the last couple of things I want to look at are the filter options. So I'm going to go back to the barn image. And I'm going to do Control J to create a duplicate layer. And I'm going to go up to Filter. This Filter tab has many, many options. There's a blur option. There's a noise option. There's a sharpen option. Stylize. Render. This creates lighting. So if you wanted to add like a lighting effect, you can do lens flare. And you can make it could look like the sun is shining brightly. Click OK, and there it is. But what I want to specifically look at is the filter gallery. So when we pull this up, you might not be able to see your whole image. And if that's the case, you can always zoom out. There are multiple options. Colored pencil, fresco, watercolor, poster edging, diffuse, glass, spatter. There are so many different options in which you can pick from. You can then adjust it from here. So you can add more detail. You can add less detail. Highlight strength, smoothness. And this applies for all of these things. And when you decide on something that you like and that you want to stick with, all you do is click OK, and it is applied to your picture. Adjustments under image is another good one. This can look at your vibrance, your hue and saturation, black and white, invert, posterize, all sorts of those things. You might also have that over here as well. And those are things that you can play around with. Up here, really edit, you're only going to use probably undo or step backwards if you need to do that more than once. And then lastly, when you want to save a project. So we want to go to Save As. You do not want to save over your original image just in case you need to go back to that image. So if you wanted to save a project, say you're not finished with it, you want to save it as a Photoshop PSD. If you are finished with your project, you want to save it as a JPEG. If you were creating an image in which you want a transparent background and just the picture, so say for instance you're creating a symbol, or you want just the image of a cat or of a person, you want to save that as a PNG. Do not worry about anything else. So again, if you are not finished with a project, you want to save it as a PSD. If you are finished with a project, you want to save it as a JPEG. If you want to save the project as just solely the subject, so again, maybe it's just a letter, maybe it's just a person, maybe it is just a symbol, and the rest of it you want transparent, you don't want it to show up, that would be a PNG. And that is all that I have to show you that I think that you will use quite often. If you have any questions, as always, you can contact me and I can help you out. Good luck!